Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello everyone, how are you? We hope all of you are in a good condition. In this video, we will share tips and tricks how to ace the TOEFL ITP listening test.
Out of sight, out of mind. So, before we go to our discussion, let us introduce ourselves. I'm Heldina Azzahra and
I am Bunga Rifka Bintara.
So, without any further ado, let's get started.
This video will help those of you who find it difficult or will take the TOEFL listening test. Do you know what is TOEFL ITP listening test? The TOEFL ITP listening section is designed to test a candidate's ability to listen and understand spoken English as it is used in university and college. This means that the level of vocabulary ranges from simple to academic. Topics can range from the arts, life science, campus activities, food, the environment, and media.
What does the TOEFL ITP listening test look like? The listening section is the first part of the entire ITP TOEFL test. As we know, time is the biggest enemy in the TOEFL test. On the TOEFL listening test, we have 35 minutes to answer 50 questions. And that means we only have 0.7 minutes or 42 seconds per question. However, that time does not include listening to the direction in each part. Part 1 lasts 1.5 minutes, Part 2 lasts 30 seconds, and Part 3 lasts 2.5 minutes. So, the total time that runs out due to listening direction is about 4.5 minutes.
Not only that, conversations and questions also reduce our answering time. So that overall, we only have 12 seconds at most to answer the questions and read the answers. All questions in the listening section are multiple choice. The part of the exam, there are 3 parts. Part 1 is short conversation, Part 2 is long conversation, and Part 3 is talks. Decides how much time you have and the number of questions you will have to answer. That means you also have to spend time and be very careful filling out the answer sheet. This is where mistakes can be made, so be careful. Make sure your answer is next to the right question's number.
There are 4 choices of answers to TOEFL questions: A, B, C, and D. And from those 4, we can directly judge which ones are totally wrong, which ones are still 50-50, which are almost true, and which are absolutely true. For that, elimination which we think is incompatible with the question, so that our choices are reduced. 4 choices are harder than 3 or 2, right? Looking for mistakes is certainly faster than finding the right one. What do you think?
This section is perhaps the most important part that should be done. Improve the vocabulary of spoken English or English that is used in conversation. To hone our vocabulary skills, we can do several activities, including watching English films, listening to English songs, reading English novels or magazines, and implementing them in our daily life. However, when you watch movies in English, make sure not to use subtitles. Although you need to use subtitles, make sure to use English subtitles, not Indonesian. Besides, listening TOEFL questions are mostly informal and use many idioms and also phrasal verbs.
What are idioms? Based on Cambridge Online Dictionary, idioms is a group of words in a fixed order that have a particular meaning that is different from the meanings of each word on its own. For example, don't judge a book by its cover. Even though she looks mean, she's actually very friendly. You will often hear about this one. Don't judge a book by its cover. Literally, the meaning can be guessed. When interpreted directly, it means judging a book from its front view. The meaning of this idiom is to judge someone or something only from the outward appearance. While phrasal verb, according to Cambridge Online Dictionary, phrasal verb is a phrase that consists of a verb with preposition or adverb or both, and the meaning of which is different from the meaning of its separate parts. For example, he saw me coming and took off in the other direction. Took off here means to leave a place quickly.
The second tip is improve pronunciation skills or skills in pronouncing English correctly. This is important because we often know the actual words used in conversation. It's just because our pronunciation is wrong or we don't know how to read it when it is used in a sentence. It seems as if the words we hear are strange to us.
Get to know the instruction for the question. In each part of the question, there will be direction or guidance to answer the questions that will be read out by the native speaker in audio. Usually, the direction read out by the native speaker is almost the same in each TOEFL test. So, it is better if you already know and you are familiar with the direction before taking the TOEFL test, so that when the direction is being read, you can use the opportunity to read as many answer choices as possible and guess what is the question for the answer choices.
Keep practicing paraphrasing and inferring meaning. As you listen to TOEFL lectures, conversations, and audio recordings in practice and on practice tasks, think about other words the speaker could have used. This will come in handy on test day, when the correct answer choice is often a paraphrase of the text instead of an exact quotation. Similarly, there may also be times when the speaker uses a word you don't know. That's okay. Use inference skills to get to the correct answer.
Listen carefully to the conversations and talks, so you have to focus on listening to what the native speaker said on the tape recorder. Why? Because the audio will be played once. So, keep on concentrating, okay?
Part A is a short conversation between two people. This part consists of 30 short conversations followed by questions in each conversation that must be answered every one short conversation. Questions that usually arise in Part A are: what does the man mean? What does the woman suggest? What does the man want to do? Where does the conversation probably take place? So, there are tips and tricks that you may need in doing Part A test. Focus on the second line. The answer to the question is usually in the second speaker.
Should I lock up the computer lab now before I go home?
Don't bother. I'm not leaving for a while. I can check it on my way out.
What will the woman probably do?
The correct answer is A. Lock the computer lab later.
The answer is a restatement of the keywords contained in the second speaker. So what is heard may be that the word is not the same as what was written in the choice of answer, but has the same meaning as what was said by the second speaker. For example,
I heard the math requirements for graduation are being changed.
Yes, and I may be short one course.
What does the man mean?
the correct answer is B. He may not meet the graduation requirements.
These tips are used if you not understand the conversation. If you only understand a few words, choose the answer which is a restatement of the keyword that was heard or understood earlier. If you don't understand the whole conversation, choose the answer that you is the most different from what you heard. Never choose an answer because it sounds like what you heard in the conversation. So, don't ever choose an answer because it's the same as what you heard.
Avoid similar sounds. Many words in English sound similar, such as ball, ball, eye, tail, tail, and so on. Not infrequently, dual questions have answers that sound different from the conversation and the questions. For example,
How long until you'll be ready to leave?
First, I need to water the grass.
What does the woman mean?
the correct answer is C. The lawn is too dry.
There are also questions that contain a lot of negative words. Negative markers that usually appear like no, not, affixes, an, im, er, this, etc. Let us take a look at the examples. If you find negative words with negative marker like no, not, an, im, etc., you can choose the answer that do not use the negative marker. But you have to remember that the answer appear in different forms but have the same meaning. For example, A. He has no money. It means he is broke. B. David doesn't go to the concert. It means David stays at home. C. Sally is unhappy. It means Sally is sad.
Double negative. If you find a sentence that has two negative expressions, then choose the answer with a positive expression. For example, A. It isn't impossible. It means it is possible. B. Sally isn't unhappy. It means Sally is happy.
Almost negative. There are several almost negative expressions in English words like rarely or seldom. These words have meaning of almost not, almost none, and almost never. They do not mean completely not. For example, A. It is hardly possible. It means it is impossible. B. Sally is rarely here. It means Sally has not been here quite some time.
Part B is the long conversation section. In this section, we will listen to a long conversation between two speakers. There are two strategies to answer this part. Anticipate the topic. What do the speakers talk about? Anticipate the questions. What should the participants do next? In this case, participants should focus more on the 5W, what, who, where, when, and why, plus 1/8 how statements. Then, what about listening to part C? Actually, the strategy for doing listening part C is exactly the same as the strategy for doing listening part B. The differences are, part C is a conversation in the form of a monologue. The audio in part C is much longer, so you have to be focused. Part C is a topic like academic listening, so maybe there are some technical terms that you should understand.
There are some things that you should remember and pay attention. Each part of the listening comprehension session ranges from easy to difficult questions. Answer all questions even if you are not sure of the answer. Don't leave the answer blank, because there will be no deduction even if the answer is wrong. During the test, if you have finished working on the first question and there is still time left before the speakers moves on to the next question, use that time to see the next answer choices. Listen carefully to the conversation because the audio will only be played once.
So, those are some tips and tricks from us.
Hope it is useful. See you on another occasion. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye.